You know, I want to be playing a new game and getting a new experience. Like, that's what I'm looking for. I already played those games. I wasn't really even that excited for it because, man, I already put in my 40, 50 days on that game. I want to be playing Black Ops 6. I want to play the new one. But obviously, there were a lot of people who don't agree with me, and they were really looking to be playing that as their full-time COD. And I wonder how many people would have done that, would have just said, I don't really want to play Black Ops 6. I want to just go and play MW2, especially since it's cheaper. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 184 of the COD Casuals podcast. We're your host, Mike.
I'm Justin.
Justin, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing good. Doing good.
Hell yeah.
I just got back from the grocery store.
Dude, we were complaining about the woes of the grocery store, so let us hear it, bro. Why you hate that? Because I'm right there with you.
It's just a waste of time.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't want to do it.
Which one do you go to? Do you have like a Market Basket, or do you got Stop and Shop? Like, what's the one over by you?
Stop and Shop.
Yeah.
Yeah,
dude. I miss Stop and Shop because like where we're from, that's the main one. And now where I'm at, there's like one Stop and Shop the next town over, and it's not worth it to me. It's all Market Baskets.
Yeah.
Market Basket's okay.
Yeah. The only thing that's like nice about Market Basket is that it's like pretty cheap. But since it's pretty cheap, everybody is just there. Every Market Basket is always packed.
Yeah. And like, you know, where I live too, like, you know, socioeconomically, people would much prefer to go to a cheaper place. So if I go there on a Friday or God forbid on the weekends, I mean, I need to like lock in because I'm going to be there for a while, you know?
Yeah. That's like, I have an Aldi's near me, and Aldi's is super cheap. Like, it's cheaper than Market Basket, and I've been there a handful of times, and it's like, it's really nice because everything is super cheap. I can get like spices and stuff for $1.
Right.
But it's always packed and just dirty, and like literally no one cares at all about like the appearance of like other people. You know what I mean?
Right. I know what you mean.
Like, I'm pushing my cart. People don't give a fuck if they're just like in the way.
Yeah. You know, there's certain things that they need to have etiquette about. Like, one thing, it's my biggest pet peeve at a grocery store is when they've got the express lane, you know, where either you can self-scan or like at my Market Basket, they have a cashier and they've got a bagger there, but it specifically says 12 items or less. Bro, I see people with a family of 4 or 5 and they're rolling up with that cart oozing out. And I'm like standing here with my bread and eggs. I'm like, get the out of here.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what the workers are there for. Like, they're going to be faster than you scanning all that stuff. So just let them do it.
Yeah, 100%. And dude, like, there's so many people that this line could move faster, but because you're not listening and can't read a sign that says 12 items or fewer, I'm like, brother, just looking at this, you've got like 40 items in here. You know,
they can read it. They just choose not to listen to it.
They don't. They don't care.
It's like the people that don't put their carts away, like after you load up your car, and they just leave in the parking lot. I hope no one listening to this does that, because they did like a study about that, and not surprised, but people that do put their carts away are actually they're more genuine people and nicer people.
That doesn't surprise me.
Put their carts away. I'm like, dude, put your cart away. It's not that hard.
It's like you say all the time. It's the principle.
I think you deserve a cart into your car if you don't put it away. Like today, I went to Target.
Everybody knows it too.
Oh yeah, exactly. I went to Target and I put my cart away, and I saw the guy, like some kid coming and like collecting all of them. And he's just walking around the parking lot collecting all of them. Like, dude. And I grabbed another cart. I just like moved it up to the opening so it's easier for him to get. And he was like, "Appreciate it, man." I'm like, yeah. And guess what? Good karma is going to come to me at some point,
right?
Just because of that.
Yeah, and like I said, if there's someone listening who does that, everybody thinks about you. You know?
Oh yeah.
Everybody sees you. Everybody makes comments when they get in the car. Like, can you believe that asshole? You know? Like, dude, it's not that hard. It's the same thing, dude, even with the little bags or like the little carriers that you can have. That shit drives me nuts too. Like, people just have them like all over the place and stuff. I'm like, bro, or like when you go and you cash out and you put everything on the belt, and there's like a pile of them already there underneath. Some guy puts it right next to it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, bro, do you not see what they're trying to do here? Like, we're
Yeah.
trying to have a nice even stack, and then they just are like, fuck it, and they throw that thing over there.
Yeah.
It's people will
Like,
always amaze me.
oh yeah, me too. Like the self scan out too at, I don't know if you know, but at like Walmart and Target and a couple other places now. You know how every when you go and check out anywhere, like they have Tic Tacs, gum, like all that
Yep.
stuff, like little travel stuff. Yeah, so at self checkout they normally have the same stuff, but at Walmarts and Targets now they took all that stuff away
Really?
because people have been stealing.
Damn.
So they just took all of that away. And I've heard in some Walmarts now that if you want to do self scan, you have to pay an extra fee to do self scan because people have been
Damn.
stealing so much. It's like an extra 10 cents or something.
Yeah.
But
Dude, you think about how many people go into a Walmart and use that every day.
well,
Like,
yeah,
dude, that
exactly.
is crazy money for Walmart to do that.
Yeah. And it's just because people are stealing.
Yeah.
Dude, people just, man, they just ruin everything for the
Dude,
other people that just listen. And it's not even hard.
the thing that upsets me the most is that, working with kids, you think it would only be kids and you try to teach them this, and then you see other adults, and I'm like, that's why everyone's fucked up, or
Yeah.
young kids are. I'm like, because they learn from idiots like you. It's just this cycle of stupidity that goes on, and it drives me nuts.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what are you going to do about it,
Yeah, exactly. And that's why grocery shopping is a waste of time.
So there you go.
I'm
That was
like, when they figure out a way to, I mean, you can do like delivery service and stuff for
yeah,
groceries, but it's just not like efficient enough.
right.
But I hope one day in our life, like if I can get a drone to like just drop off my groceries at my doorstep, I'm 100% paying like the extra fee just for that. So I
Yeah.
don't need to deal with that.
Well, and then I saw something too. I think Amazon already does it. And I don't know, like, if they have Amazon grocery stores. I mean, if they do, they're not around me.
Yeah, they're on the West Coast.
Because I guess what you could do is you could go on Amazon and order all your food and pay for it that way. And then there's some way that when you go into the store, it's able to track what you ended up buying. So you don't have to sit around and like wait for a cashier, and sit in the line. You can just go in, get your stuff. I don't know if you bag it yourself or it's just people that help bag your food and that's it. And then you're good to go,
Yeah, I've been to one. There's one in
Oh,
Seattle.
really?
Yeah, you link your Amazon account, and then you just go grab whatever you want, walk out, and then it just charges.
I like that.
Your card. Yeah,
Yeah, make
it's
life
efficient.
a lot easier,
Yeah, exactly.
Like you said, you don't want to be wasting time,
Yeah, it's already a waste of time walking around.
Exactly, But yeah, man, we've been hanging out. We hung out actually yesterday. I went by the new house, so I got to check it out. It was nice to be to hang in there, get the whole scope of like the whole area too. And yeah, I got to see the new podcast space, which you're in right now. And we talked about that in our last episode too. That was our last episode in your parents' house, RIP.
Yep.
So now we're gonna be in a new spot. And yeah, it's dope. I can't wait. It's gonna be sick too in the background. We're gonna have all the breach stuff.
Oh yeah.
The memorabilia.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this now you can see the background because I'm not just on my laptop using the camera. I'm back to using the regular camera that I use. But yeah, no, it's a work in progress. Obviously, it's like you can see it's just there's nothing in the background.
Yeah,
but
it's getting there slowly but surely.
Yeah, it'll get there.
Yeah,
but yeah,
so
now we'll be going to if people didn't listen to the last episode, but we'll be doing 3 online and then 1 in person. So basically, once a month will be in person, and then the other 3 weeks will be online episode.
Yeah, and in that episode as well, we had talked about how just there's a lot of things that we want to be doing with the online, since that's kind of the move that we're going to be going towards now, just to make it a better experience, just visually. So especially if we're talking things CDL related when Black Ops 6 comes out, and we want to pull up stats or pull up articles or whatever it may be, gameplay footage, it'll be really easy to do it, you know.
Mhm.
So definitely looking to upgrade on the online front so it's just as entertaining for everybody who'd be listening, you
Mhm.
know. But I was gonna say we could just jump into it, bro, because it's 4:50 right now. We're about, I don't know, maybe an hour out from the EWC finishing up.
Mhm.
It just ended. Uh and overall, I just want to ask you, what do you think about the event as a whole?
I thought they did a really good job. Like for the event, it was, the production was really good. The venue looked really cool. Like, you know, the it didn't seem like a lot of fans were there, which it could go either way, right? Because it's in Saudi, so you just never know. But the production overall was really good. I wish they were able to get like LAN servers instead of just using online servers, because we'll go into it later, but there were technical difficulties with a lot of the matches. Um, Less than I expected, but there was none of this should ever happen anyways at like an in-person event.
No, absolutely. I think that was probably the only letdown from the event. In my eyes, was just that there was a few times, and especially for like one of the matches that we saw today, where they'd have to go and reset the game,
Mm-hmm.
just because of this whole situation.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, it was a bit of a bummer on that spot, but overall, I totally agree. I thought it was a great event. I thought there was a lot of really cool things that the CDL could be learning from it production wise, because I thought that stage was so cool. Like that
yeah,
venue itself was phenomenal.
mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah,
Um, they did a really really good job of it. Um, the only thing obviously I wish they could still have is I wish they had both stages or both like teams facing each other. I
yeah,
just
yeah,
think that's something I'm like, man, I want to have that at every future online or every LAN event. I think it's just so much and so much entertainment.
mm-hmm.
Um, but even despite that, most of the matches I think were really really good. If you didn't know, phase one, they won against the LA Thieves, which was shocking to me. Not
Mm-hmm.
that they beat them, but the fact that the Thieves got second place in this event.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, we can mention about that too, because I
Shocked.
wanted to say like it's only it's only because it was single limb,
Yeah.
and not double limb, which is another critique I want to say. Like, I don't think any major or event should be single limb, but with single limb, you get stuff like a middle tier team is somehow playing in the grand finals against a top four team. Um, Makes it more entertaining, but it's very much like, all right, if you really screw up, it's one and done.
Right.
And they also did pool play, which is what they did back in the day. That's great. Should have been like that. And hopefully the CDL learns from that and does some type of pool play or whatever. And they also had four like amateur teams uh, within those pools. And that was great because, we saw like some upsets by some of these like amateur teams that are filled with all pro players. And that just shows that there can be there are a lot of other pros and a lot of talent down in amateurs beating the CDL teams. So these teams should be in the league, and we can't just be a 12 team league. But yeah, I just wanted to like point that out because they got Lore Gaming. That was Arcity's team. They're an amateur team, even though everybody on that team was a former pro. Gentlemates, that was that was Bance's team,
I believe so. Yeah.
and they were all former pros. Like these guys took a lot of the professional teams all the way to like map 5, or they even beat them in pool play.
Hmm.
So like I hope the CDL learns from that and they, I don't know, add a couple like extra teams or something.
Yeah, absolutely. I think again, there wasn't really any. I don't believe there was any real shocks with some of the amateur teams going up against the professional teams. Um, there were some matchups that were pretty crazy for these amateur players. Like there was I can't remember what team it was. I think I can find it here. They were in Group D. It was Falcons. Yeah, the first day they had to go and play phase.
Yeah.
And just seeing that, I was like, oh my God, like this team has to play one of the best Call of Duty trios that's ever existed. And then they also got to have draws on that team. And they got smoked.
Yeah. They got some. They're somewhat hanging in like a couple of
Yeah,
matches.
they're
They're shooting
shooting
back.
back. Yeah.
But I mean, that's what we expected. Like,
Yeah.
Team Falcons is the Saudi team, and I mean they did like pretty well I mean, like in
All things
terms of
considered.
being an amateur team going up against like the top Call of Duty players in the world, and you know that's just just tough matchup right out the gate for those guys. But I mean, if you want to be a pro team, you got to play, the best of the best. So that was probably eye opening for them.
Absolutely. I think a lot of the teams just being amateurs, some of them may have forgotten, or some of them may have not had the chance to really play in that setting against those guys where they're giving everything they have. And you could see where some of those teams would fall if they were to be in the CDL. I think some of the teams like Omit Brooklyn, I think they would be a pretty solid team in the CDL if they actually stuck together. I mean, I remember that first match that they played against Optic. They beat them on the Rio hardpoint, and everyone was absolutely mind blown.
Yeah.
But then Optic turned on the afterburners and beat them.
Yeah. That was the
But
only map they took.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it does still say something. It's like, man, these guys, being a pro, all former pros and have not really been playing a lot of them, then going to play the defending world champions and taking a map on them. I mean, to me, it's commendable. It's not obviously anything to write home about. But yeah, some of the teams were able to show out a bit. I know too, Zuma, he had his team Stallions. They were out there as well. And I think everybody on that team as well is a former pro.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody on there that hasn't played in the league. And they kind of had a bit of a, I say like disappointing end to it, just like most of the teams did. They didn't make it to Saturday. I don't think any of them did.
No. But that's the thing. Like, but these teams can compete, right? Like, I think there wasn't really many upsets, like you said, in terms of amateurs against pros. But besides, like, they're not Rocker anymore; they're G2. So if people don't know, they've G2 Esports now, formerly the Minnesota Rocker. I don't know what that branding is going to be. It's going to be like, I have no idea, but
yeah, no idea.
It's probably gonna. I think they branded it as G2 Esports because they could at this event. But I think with the Rocker, they're probably just going to keep it as Minnesota Rocker. But regardless, Minnesota Rocker, and they lost to amateur teams. Like they finished second to last. What is it? 13th.
Yeah, they ended up playing on Thursday. They played Vancouver Surge, which, dude, that's still so weird to say that. Yeah. Like, I always want to say Seattle, but now it's Vancouver. So they lost to them 3-0, and then they played same day. They played the amateur team Gentlemates, and yeah, they lost to them at 5. I mean, I don't know what to think about that team. They had a really, really tough year in the CDL. They have good players on there. Like I know Linz, people were speaking a lot on him, obviously accuracy as well. Having the experience, but yeah, they just could not put it together. They seemed like one of those teams that from the end of the CDL to this event, there was no growth at all. They seemed like the exact same team. And it seems like everybody else took this very, very seriously, and they definitely got better,
Yeah. And like, again, we talked about EWC being after champs, and there were a lot of roster changes, and G2 was one of the teams that did make roster changes, and like it obviously didn't help them, right? But they tried something. They ended up picking up Diamondcon and Estriel from LAG, and that's just not enough time to mesh. So, but that does show you can't. Yeah, all those 4 guys are in the CDL, but they're losing to former pros that are technically amateurs.
Right.
These amateur players, they're not amateurs. As Arsity said, he's like, I'm not an amateur. Like, I've been at the top. Like, these guys, are pros. They're just classified as amateurs. So
yeah, which is very weird, and it's kind of unfair to those who come in. I say like unfair, but it's a real like rude awakening where you have someone like Arcides. I mean, he's not some guy who played in the CDL for a couple of years and had some success. I mean, he's a 2-time world champion. He's achieved more than what most of those players, even current, could ever dream of. So to have him be classified as that, it's a little disrespectful, if you ask me.
Oh yeah, I mean, like you said, if you want to, be a pro and being the best of the best, right? Like you're gonna be playing up against those guys, and he definitely can hang with those guys and should
Yeah.
not be considered an amateur. But I think most people in COD, when they think, "Oh, you're an amateur player," they're thinking of like new young players that you don't even know about, right?
Right.
And obviously, we don't really get that. We get like a couple every year that start popping up, but for the most part, right? Like these up and coming amateur players, they're only noticed because they're playing against these top players, and they're like, okay, you know what, this person can hang.
Yeah, and
So,
a thing I don't know if it was the case with this event is that when they have some of these events where they have amateurs come in and they get the chance to play against pros, ideally you'd like to see an amateur who really pops off and has a real like superstar event. Whether they win or lose or not, but you can see the individual talent with this player and be like, oh my God, he's absolutely frying everybody. And like a Hydra is that example. Hydra was like that in the amateur scene, and then he came into the pros with New York, and he was ridiculous. Um, but now what it is, it's a lot of these former pros who, maybe they just go through a rough patch in their career, or just in general they're not playing well, and then they go to the amateur league, and ideally they're just going to be frying people and looking at the CDL teams and being like, "Look, I don't belong here. Like I was struggling, but this is ridiculous. I can beat these guys no problem."
mm,
Um, and yeah, you being someone who has no name, who has no connections in the league or anything, you're like 17 or 18 years old and you're going to be playing against someone like that. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to
mm,
ask for, but
that's
I
what,
do like seeing these guys come out.
yeah. But no, that's like the whole point, though. Like
Yeah,
the CDL, if they need to expand, because like we said, these guys aren't amateurs; they're classified as amateurs. But if a real amateur comes in and they want to make it to CDL, and if they can't beat, these so-called amateur players, Arcides, Bance, like Harry, all these guys,
hmm
then they're not ready and built for it.
right.
So, but I'm glad that they added more teams into this. Finally, 16 teams, which is what the CDL should be, right? Um, and I again, like I think the event was great. I just, to make it better, obviously all the technical issues, I wish that didn't happen. If it was just double elimination instead of single elim, I think it would have been a really, really good event. That's probably the one thing I would change about it. But
Yeah.
other than that, it was a good event to watch.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it showed how fun it is to be watching competitive COD, no matter what it is or where it is. Um, we say it all the time when the league happened, like during that season, it just goes by so fast.
Mm-hmm.
And then to get this little bit again, and see it, it was really nice to wake up and just be like, oh, dude, I get to go watch Call of Duty all day,
Mm-hmm.
and watch them compete. So that was really fun with it. I know some people were criticizing the fact that they couldn't trash talk or that had to be limited. They have to be really careful with it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. I mean, of course, I understand why they do that. It's their a venue; they have every right
Mm-hmm.
to run it how they want to. I didn't really think that impacted me as a viewer watching it. I didn't really care that much.
Yeah, I, I'm gonna say it. You fucking Americans. I'm. I was born in America too, but
Yeah,
like bro, it's a cultural thing. Like fucking respect it. Like you're going to visit their country.
right.
They're putting up the money. So I don't know what the fuck like these people are like so upset about. Like, and yeah, as a viewer, didn't really impact me at all. You know, it didn't do anything. I mean, they stood up and like yelled at each other, but that's it. Like,
Yeah, and
what do you
that's
want
fine.
them to do? You want them to like, you're fucking dog shit, flipping like people off? Like, yeah, that's entertaining too. But I mean, like, it's like a couple seconds at the end of it.
Yeah, that's definitely what people wanted, and
Mm-hmm.
of course, I like that stuff from time to time. Like I said, it is good entertainment, but I don't know. There were some people who were getting really upset about it, and just being like, "Oh, they have to be all like super respectful and whatnot," and it's annoying. I don't see that at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like they had people whenever the team would lose, they'd have to go and give them their key.
Yeah.
Like that stuff. There were some of the teams you could tell like the camaraderie was there. They were just like, like I remember
Mm-hmm.
when Optic, when we get to them, when Optic lost to who they ended up losing to again. Was it
Phased.
FaZe? When they lost to FaZe, you see Kenny go up there and he's like laughing and smiling, just being like, "Yeah, here you go, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
take your key." Um, like that stuff was, it was a cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess what they're trying to do there is just show like the respect.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but man, sometimes it was hella awkward. There were
Oh
some of
yeah.
those guys
Yeah.
who were devastated,
Mm-hmm.
and they have to go on camera afterwards and like give them this key.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the teams I felt bad for, like Carolina with a fellow. I was like, dude, this guy does not want to be doing this.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Again, like it is just a respect thing. Like for like any sport, some fans just take it way too. They just want to see everything. Like these people are just fucking caged up animals, and it's like it doesn't fucking matter. It's a game.
Yeah.
Oh, like these guys are. And one thing I'll say too, if you look at other esports like League of Legends, CS:GO, these big esports, yeah, I'd love to see some trash talk too. But those games are all about showing your opponent like the respect that they deserve. Like all these guys do deserve respect. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to see Draza stand up and be like, "You're fucking dog shit."
Right. Flipping the birds and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that's that like couldn't happen in Saudi. I mean, if you guys really want to test it and go over there and try to do the shit that people do here in America over there, I don't think it would fly very well. But
Well, did you hear? I think it was Scrap that said it on Zuma's stream. I believe it was him. That if you were caught doing that, the fine was 11% of your winnings for the
yeah,
event, which is crazy.
mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah,
and I think that's why most of the people that were there were respecting it, because they probably were told
yeah,
that and signed it, and they were like 11%. They're like, holy shit. Like, so if I
yeah,
win this, how much am I going to have to lose just if I slip up,
yeah, yeah,
and don't show that respect?
yeah.
It's like, I think a lot of them, I mean, nobody really acted up. I think there was maybe a couple of times. I think Draza at the end, he dropped a couple swears in his
Mm-hmm.
interview. And I'm like, I don't know if that's bad. Like, I don't know if they're going to hate on that. He was just swearing for the sake of it. He wasn't
Yeah.
swearing at his opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so who knows with it, but yeah, overall, man, I didn't miss the trash talk and all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. We got enough people standing up and like yelling
Yeah.
um
The games
to
are all good.
satisfy me.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have any problems with it. Like you said, the games were all really good. I mean, when we ended up getting into Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
um, they were all great. It was no surprise that it was all the top teams that ended up getting into, well, it was Saturday and then into Sunday, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but Saturday, it was like the top four were there. Boston Breach did make it through, which was surprising. I know we were really stoked about that. They did have a tough matchup. They did have to play FaZe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I mean, I was not super hopeful on that one. I'm going to be honest. You have your hopes and wishes, but with a brand new team for
Yeah, bro.
Breach and then having to play FaZe, yeah, I was not really shocked, but I think it's commendable they made it to Saturday.
Yeah, then that's I'm glad with a brand new team. They made it out of group play or
Yeah,
pool play, and they made it to Saturday, made it into the bracket. Sucks they fell on that side, because I think if they fell on the other side of the bracket, they probably had a better chance of going farther. But
absolutely.
regardless, like you're gonna have to face like those top teams at some point.
Right.
But they did. I mean, I thought they were gonna win map one against FaZe. Like they put up a fight. They're up like 100 points on FaZe in the hard point, and then they choked, and then it was over after that. But you know, I'm happy regardless that they made it into Saturday and actually into the bracket. Because man, if they didn't even make it out of pool play and they lost to like the other amateur teams, it's like, man, just pour more gasoline on like the fire for us already.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Boston finished top 5 and they got I have it 180K. Not bad at all.
Considering they didn't win anything all during the
Anything.
CDL,
Yeah.
I was like, that's not too bad. It's a pretty solid showing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they, they did as much as they could given the circumstances, and I was I was pleased with how they made it that far. I mean, they had their glimmer during that map 1 with FaZe. They looked good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it just brings, back to what we were saying from last week. People know the fate of the breach is kind of unknown right now. Um, and man, they looked all right. I wasn't too upset about it. I was like, I hope this is a catalyst for someone in the team or someone they're being like, look, dude, like, you know, look what we
Mm-hmm.
did at EWC. Like we should still be in the league and have a spot.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I hope for.
I will say, like, I don't know about you, but that the team for Boston, again, like a lot of teams, they had some change, brand new team or whatever, and Boston was one of them. And their roster, I was like, they're not gonna have that much practice. I have no idea how they're gonna do. Uh, but they, again, you have the right like set of players, and they mesh enough, they can do well. And for people that don't know, they obviously had Snoopy. They brought back Awakening, so he's been on the breach before. They brought Cammy and they brought Purge onto the team. And Cammy was playing for the Boston Challengers team for a bit, and came in for EWC. They all meshed. They did pretty well. They just couldn't close it out against a top 4 team. And
Yeah.
they also lost to the champ. So
Yeah.
it,
Exactly. In hindsight, it's not awful in
Mhm.
my opinion. Um so yeah, they ended up losing. I mean, in there too was Optic and Cloud9. So yeah, New York Subliners are gone and it's now Cloud9 is the same team. They spit on Cloud9. That was crazy. They knocked them out. And that was a rematch from Champs.
Yeah,
And I thought it
Optic did.
Yeah, I thought it
Yeah.
was gonna be close. It was not. New York just got smoked, and that was the end of their tournament.
Mhm.
And like you said, that plays into the fact that it's just if you had a bad day like those guys did, that team's obviously way better than that.
Mhm.
But Optic was way better than them that day, and it
Mhm.
showed. I mean, they
Mhm.
got smoked 3-1, pretty convincingly.
I don't think New York has beaten Optic though, like
I don't
at
think so.
all.
Yeah, I don't know what their record is, but
I don't-
it's not good.
yeah, yeah. I want to say they haven't beaten them at all this year,
Yeah.
which is tough.
They've got a mental block against them
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure at this point now.
yeah. Um, and yeah, and then on the other side of the bracket that everyone was surprised about, right? Like 100 Thieves, not LA Thieves, 100 Thieves. They made it all the way to grand finals, which no one expected.
No.
But again, it's because of that how the bracket fell. Uh,
Yeah.
Not putting down like 100 Thieves at all, or any of these teams, but I don't think any of us would have expected them to make it all the way to grand finals if Optic or FaZe were on the other side of that bracket. You know, because
Yeah.
they had the big dog Toronto Ultra in there, but they just straight up choked and got knocked out early.
Yeah, that was such a shock. I was expecting going into today that it was gonna be, Optic, FaZe, and then, Toronto and toss up between Surge and, the Royal Ravens. Um, but yeah, Thieves ended up 3-2ing Toronto. They beat them in the search. It was such a close search. We watched it yesterday at your place.
Mhm.
Um, and when I saw the results, I was like, I have to see how this last map panned out. Um, and yeah, it was just such a grudge match right to the end. It was crazy how they ended up planting the bomb with like less than 10 seconds left on the
Mhm.
clock. and then just finding all the kills. I would say for sure that was the biggest shock of the whole tournament was Toronto Ultra falling where they did and not making it to Sunday.
I completely agree. And that's why I think these tournaments should be double elim, because you still get that shock factor, right? But I don't think Ultra would be losing again to Thieves if they're going down into losers. And also too, just the way that the bracket played out, like they had the top 3 teams on one side of the bracket, and then Ultra had a freebie.
No, they did
on the other side, right? Like, what do you think would have happened if like FaZe won the whole tournament? So let's say that. What if FaZe was on the other side?
Yeah,
like it could have been a cakewalk for them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, in Group C, it was Breach, Toronto, Stallions, and then Heretics. And then in Group D was FaZe, Thieves, Lore, and Falcons. I mean, they had a pretty easy way to go through. I thought that they were going to make it, really without any issue. And to your point, it just shows that day were not doing that well. I can't remember how it exactly panned out on the stats, like who was really doing well and who was struggling. But yeah, what a shock from 100 Thieves just being able to pull it up, and
for that
do
Ultra game. I don't remember the stats, but I know that everyone on Ultra, besides one person, was positive the entire series, and everyone on 100 Thieves was negative. But they still won. Teamwork.
There you go. Teamwork.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's all about the objective,
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah,
so no, it was pretty wild. And then after that, I mean, we just had today. Like I think after that, the only other match that they had at the bottom of that was the Surge and Royal Ravens, which that was a close match, but honestly, I wasn't really too invested in that match. I didn't really I don't know. I was kind of like 50-50 on. I was like, oh, both these teams are good, but I didn't think that either of them were going to be making it much further in the tournament.
Yeah, I was surprised that the Ravens lost just because, well, they had a reset, I'm pretty sure, that kind of screwed them over. And also Benjamin Beans is on the Ravens now, replacing Clay, and to always support the Boston guys. So they could have won that. They definitely could have won that. But
yeah,
to your point though, they probably would have lost to Thieves. Like the Thieves looked really good this event.
Yeah, and then when it ended up going to the semis with Thieves and Surge, I mean, Thieves just they 3-0'd them. It looked really easy for them. I was surprised. But Vancouver, and when they were Seattle, like during the CDL, I felt like they were always one of those teams where the potential was so high. If they were all doing really well, and like Hook, especially if he was just having a masterclass of a day, that team was insane. And early on in the tournament, they looked really good. And then, like we're just beating a dead horse with it, bro. They showed up today, they maybe didn't get that extra half hour of sleep, whatever it was. And yeah, they got ran through.
Yeah, they lost 4-2 to FaZe. But
yeah,
I will say though that's a like a deceiving 4-2. Because they took FaZe all the way to a round 5 control, and they took them to a round 11 S&D.
Yeah, no, they did play them very close, and even that first hard point that FaZe ended up winning was the same thing.
Yeah,
because I think wasn't it a sub base hard point they played?
Yeah,
yeah, it was within 50 points. I mean, they were kind of just trading the lead back and forth the entire time. And even if I remember correctly, I think in that match too, Dan Ghosty was like playing really bad. Like he was struggling big time, and then he picked it up. So yeah, that was a really deceptive 4-2. It was a very close match. It was a good one to watch. But yeah, man, FaZe just, I mean, dude, they looked so good. Today with that, I wanted to go back even before we go to the grand finals and just talking about the FaZe team, kind of where they stand now. Dude, that optic game that they played for the spot in grand finals, dude, that was So I think you watched the first map, right?
Yeah, I watched the first map and the reset.
Yeah. So right, so that ended up happening because
Yeah.
they fried
Mm-hmm.
FaZe in the beginning of this. I couldn't believe it. I was like, "What the hell happened to FaZe
Yeah,
today?"
yeah.
They were just on another planet. They were up. I want to say they were like pretty much going
It
like
was
100-point clubbing
yeah, it
them.
was over 100.
Yeah.
Like both like before the reset and then after the reset,
Yeah.
they're over
So
100.
yeah, so they get that insane lead, and I was watching Scum stream, and Hex was on there, and you see him, they're like, "No, no, no," and he just
Yeah.
gets up, he's like, "Oh my god." He's like,
Yeah,
"You
yeah,
have to
yeah.
be kidding me right now."
Yeah.
And you see Pred, like, he's talking to one of the referees there, and
Yeah.
he's like, "What?" Like, they were he was
Mhm.
pissed, and
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, no," like, he's gonna
Mhm.
be so checked right now. They're like, "Dude, that was, like, an easy win right there, bro, like, we
Mhm.
coulda done that, no problem." Um, but, yeah, then they after the reset, they came back, and they did it again.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, I thought that series was a done deal after that.
Yeah, like I was texting you. Like a lot of people, a lot of Optic fans were I mean, they're pissed, rightfully so. I'd be pissed too. But you got to think about it on the other end. Those other if that happened to FaZe, like they're up 100 and, every Optic fan would be like, "Thank God we got the reset."
Right,
It goes the other way. And a
right.
lot of people are pissed and I'm like, you have every right to be pissed, but
Oh, yeah.
you can't be too checked, as Hex said. Like you just need to go back and do it. And they did
Ye
do it, but that didn't matter because they got
yeah.
smoked after. Like,
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I was hanging out, and I was so excited, I was like, "Oh, man, Optics looking phenomenal, like, this is great." I hope they can carry it. Dead wrong.
mhm,
They they ended up playing, for Search. I think they played it was High Rise Search.
mhm,
They lost 6-1. Um, and this was after the one round that they won, uh, was Pred, and he got, an ace,
mhm,
which was crazy. He got, like, an insane two-piece, and then he was left in a 1v2 when he finished it. And after that, I'm like, "Oh, man, the momentum's there, like, FaZe is checked," and I was dead wrong. FaZe didn't give a fuck that they lost that way. They're just like, "Ah, we scammed, whatever,"
yeah,
you know? And, yeah, they steamrolled them and then brought it to the control, 3-1 them, and then the sub-base hardpoint, um, and we know, and people, if you don't know, like Optic has been lights out on that map all year. I think, if I remember correctly, their record on it was like 12-2. It was something about, it was that obscene.
yeah,
I'm,
yeah. That was their best like hardpoint map. I don't know the record, but like every team that played them would veto that. Like you
yeah,
and on Scum's stream when he was talking about the maps, he was like, I don't know why FaZe like wants to play us on that, but he was saying like both hard points are locked down,
yeah,
like secured for Optic. And I think the only reason why a team is like challenging you on your best map and game mode, it's either they're very, very confident in themselves or they have something up their sleeve, you know?
right. Yeah. And I mean, they said it themselves. I think it was Draws who did the interview afterwards. He was like, "We just came out really flat in the beginning and we're slow. And they were so good." He's like, "But once we just kind of got into the rhythm and picked everything up, then we were fine." Um, and yeah, it was definitely disappointing. Obviously, at that point, Optic was the favorite as usual, and I mean, they had a really easy run after that. It's like if they win that, then they'd have to play either Thieves or Surge.
Hmm.
And at the time, everyone was thinking that that was going to be pretty much a cakewalk for either FaZe or Optic.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, with Optic losing, then FaZe went, and like we just said, I mean, I was surprised that Thieves. I got to commend them. They really stepped it up, and they did play a really close grand finals.
Hmm.
Um, they can't walk away from this event being upset, like
Hmm.
that much.
Yeah.
Obviously it's got to suck. Like they did get so close.
Hmm.
Um, but I think like Nate Shot and everybody there is probably beyond happy that they made it to the grand finals
Yeah.
and beat out pretty much every other top four team other than FaZe, and they played them close.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, being runner up, it sucks in the moment, but stat wise, like it's not that bad,
Yeah.
right? But FaZe finally closed one out like this year because it's so funny that like everyone, FaZe kept showing up in grand finals and just kept losing, or they got eliminated like top 4. I don't think they got lower than like top 4 this entire year. Everybody's like, "Oh, this team's we don't know, might need a change." I'm like, there's no way people just forget about like the 3 guys, Celium, Simp, and Abizi, and they add Drasa. There's no way that people just think that, oh, this team doesn't work and they're a bad team. And I was telling you yesterday, like we're talking about roster changes. I don't see why any of these teams would make a roster change after this, like top 4 specifically, Optic Phase, uh, Optic Phase, New York, or C9 now, and Ultra, unless like someone from the top 4 team decides that they don't want to sign again, then that would cause a shakeup. But I don't know. Players know better, obviously, but if you look on paper and how these players like mesh together, I don't see anyone better that would be a free agent that could slot into any of these teams and make it even better,
Yeah, I totally agree. The chance of that happening is really slim.
Mm-hmm.
However, I to your point about FaZe, there was talks before with their placing at champs, which I think was their worst placing at
Mm-hmm.
champs that they've ever had, which is insane because I think they got 4th or 5th. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, people were talking, well, what about that trio? Is it worth splitting it up? They gave it the shot with Draza. And they did get a chip. And to me, I'm like, yeah, they did get a chip. I'm like, dude, that's huge. Like this team,
That's
their
what
first year
that
together.
dude.
I'm like, I don't think people understand that. That is so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like that they did that. They've found success. It's not like the Vanguard year where they didn't find any success. They came
Mm-hmm.
so close all the time, but they just couldn't do it. And that's why they made that change.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Yeah.
you're crazy if you change that team, especially now. I mean, they just won 600K,
Yeah.
and they won the first ever esports World Cup. I mean, that was like the cherry on top. That was pretty much the biggest like fu Draza could have given.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like another. I mean, it's another COD champs, like somewhat knockoff,
Mm-hmm.
fake COD champs, but
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, I mean, again, if you just look at those top 4 teams, I don't see a reason why you would change any of them unless someone just wants to leave. And guess what? If someone decides to leave that team, they're going to go to a team in the top 4. Like you lay all 16 players from those teams out and you just switch them up, like they're all going to stay within those 4 teams. You're not going to take someone from a bottom tier team, plug them in, and expect that team to be way, way better. It's going to
Right.
take, like, if Simp for whatever reason was like, I'm leaving, he's going to go to Optic, or he's going to go to Ultra, or he's going to go to C9. Unless someone just gives him like an insane contract.
Right. And my question is, with all of this potential roster moves that could happen in the top 4, is I like to think about if there is some duo that hasn't been unlocked yet, or some
Yeah.
dream team that could be created within that top 4 that they don't know could just mesh so well and could
Mm-hmm.
be a dominant team. I wonder if that combination exists, because I think right now and for the foreseeable future, unless some absolute superstar comes in, I think it's going to be that. I think there will be some times where these top 4 teams, they end up maybe losing one player or a couple players, and they start slotting around to see how that changes the dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then you have players like Dan Ghosty. I think Dan Ghosty has every right to be in a top 4 team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and maybe he could take Thieves to making it being a top 5, or, having him take the spot of a top 4 team. But I like to think about that a lot. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
where's that one player that the team, they don't know that they need, but
Mm-hmm.
he could take that team to the next level.
Yeah, and that's no one knows that besides like the team, because like chemistry really, really matters. Like what Shotzi and Pred, obviously we all knew Pred was really good, but people questioned if he would work well with Shotzi. That duo's insane.
Mhm.
I still think Abizi and Simp are the best duo ever in COD, but like, what if Simp left and it was Abizi and Hydra? Like, you can't tell me that duo would be bad. Just off pure talent, those guys would
Right.
be great. Like, yeah, playing around with the top 4 teams and like switching players would be nuts. Like, could you imagine Scrap, Abizi, Hydra, and Cell or
Yeah.
Draws?
Yeah. I mean, the
That's an
scrap and
insane
draws
pair.
would never
Oh
happen,
yeah, that would never happen. But
but
like that
I
team's
I know, bro.
insane.
Yeah.
That is nuts.
Yeah. And there does come the point though where you think about a team like that, and I don't know how much you want to weigh into it. It's like, does it matter having somebody who can really step up to be that leader, you
Mhm,
know? Like for example, Optic was like that for sure. I don't think many people envisioned that Kenny would be on that team
mhm,
at some point in his career. Uh, and we've talked about it before. There was so much hate thrown his way when people were like, "Dude, wow, they're really gonna pick up Kenny."
mhm.
And guy wins the fucking world championship with
Yeah,
them first year. It's like that guy was a missing link, and I think Kenny adds so much on the discipline and leadership
mhm.
role in that team. Like Kenny's obviously just an outstanding player as is, but he does that little bit extra there that's what's going to win you the championships.
Yeah, exactly. And that stuff, I would say we could talk about it. Like you and I can address it, and we understand it that you need a player like that, the
Mhm.
the leader. But we won't truly know, right, unless we're actually in the scrims, like seeing and hearing all the stuff that he does. Because yeah, you could have like the star talent, across the board, but that doesn't mean you're gonna win, right? Like
Right.
COD is just so day to day and like trying to be consistent so hard. But yeah, it's definitely interesting to think about like possible roster changes from those teams. Cause again, I think it's nuts that winning any major is hard in the CDL. But the fact that a team wins a major and they still want to possibly change, that's nuts.
Yeah.
That is nuts. But that's what New York did. They won COD champs and then they changed their team.
Mhm.
And they're still a top 4 team, and they won a major. Are they gonna change it again?
Right.
Like who
Well,
knows?
and people are saying that now with Ultra.
Yeah.
Ultra, I believe they got 3rd at COD Champs. And then
Made like
with this,
2 grand finals, I think, and
yeah,
didn't win both. They won the first major, and then they
yeah,
just
they
got a slump.
right. And then with this EWC placing, obviously not being to where they wanted it to be,
Mm,
um, people are now talking about that team. Like, is this the last that we see of the, Insight and Kleenex duo?
mhm,
And for me, like we just said, I don't understand that because I think they've done really well all year.
mhm,
Who are you really going to get? That's question one.
mhm,
And then question two, like, are we going to forget the fact that they won a major and they've been a consistent team?
mhm,
Um, yeah, I don't envision that happening unless someone on that team just loses their brain and
mhm,
starts playing horrendously and is costing the team all the time.
mhm.
Which I don't envision that happening.
Yeah. That's the tough part about being on one of those top 4 teams. Like, those teams all wanna win.
Right.
Every team in the CDL wants to win, but those teams specifically will make the changes needed to win.
Yeah.
But it's not enough just to win on these teams. Like, you have
Right.
to win everything
Yeah.
or almost everything to, like, be safe. Yeah, do I think Optic's safe. They won COD champs.
I think they're
And they
safe.
they went yeah. And
Phase.
FaZe won this, but dude, like, I don't wanna say they're completely safe. Like, I don't know why, but, like, well, actually, no, I do know why. Because FaZe has consistently been switching up their team, like, 1 player year to year, right? Do I think they should change? No. I definitely think they should keep the roster that they have because it's nuts on paper, but if it happened, I'd be insanely shocked. But coming from that org, one isn't enough. They want everything.
Right. Yeah. I mean, a lot of those teams, that's what they want. And from their Cold War year too. I mean, I'm sure that's what they're aiming for. That's the standard. Is just
Exactly.
pure
Everything.
domination.
Yeah.
You know, and they haven't had that since then. And it's a question of who can they get. First off, who's going to be available, and then is that the person that they think is going to get them to that next level? You
Yeah.
know,
That's
I'm with you. I really don't think they're going to change. I think it would be crazy for them to, considering how consistent they've been and just winning this the EWC. But if someone came up from another team, like if there was a Hydra or there was,
a
you know,
scrap.
right, like some of these
It's
players that are
yeah.
like, we're not signing with our team anymore, we're free agents.
Mhm.
Um,
The talk's
I
gonna be there, I'd imagine.
yeah, I would be shocked if they weren't talking about that. You know,
Mhm.
being like, what do we think about Scrap, like, being on this team?
Mhm.
Would he be somebody that, like, he would really elevate the team? Like, you know, and it'd be tough. It'd be a really tough talk to have.
Yeah, because like, are you just swapping like pure talent for pure talent? Like, what makes one player slightly? Because all these players are great.
Right.
Well, what makes them potentially slightly better than the current player that you have now?
Yeah.
Um, Again, it's a tough call, but that would be insane. Like,
Yeah.
job security doesn't matter if you win a major.
Right. It
You can
doesn't.
you can still get dropped right after that. Doesn't matter if you win COD champs. You will get dropped.
Yeah. No, you will, but you should go to bed knowing that if you do get dropped by your team
Yeah.
and you win a championship like that, you're gonna be okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you'll be okay.
It's like, no,
You'll get picked
I
up.
will get a job. Someone, like, one of these teams is gonna pick me up because
Mhm.
of my accolades, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, man, I mean, like, closing out on the EWC, dude, like, I thought it was a really good event. I thought it was a good showcase for some of the amateur teams. And again, congrats to FaZe. Like, they were clearly the better team, and I was happy to see that too on the timeline with some of the teams. Like, I saw Kenny was saying that with Draza. He's just like, "Do we count this or not?" You know, and
Yeah, yeah.
everyone's like, you know, they were like fucking with him, and he's
Yeah.
like, "No, like they were the better team for sure." You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
so it's nice to see. Like, I like seeing Optic in that space where they're cool from champs. They're like, dude, that was like the pinnacle that we could win there.
Mhm.
And it's not like they just totally dropped the ball at EWC and
Yeah.
you're like, wow, this team doesn't care anymore. You know, they
Finish
still
third.
got, yeah,
Yeah.
then they got
Yeah.
a, they got a good amount of money coming their way.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's obviously sucks. Like, we wanted to win it, but it is what it is.
Mhm.
We can only have one winner,
Yeah, yeah. And you know, if we're really being specific here, they won COD champs, the real one in the CDL, whereas this is after COD champs, and it's like
Right.
this definitely counts. I don't care what
Yeah.
people say. This is I don't know if you've like followed the Olympics at all or whatever, or some of the drama, but there's this guy, Noah Miles, and Noah Miles, and he's a sprinter,
Okay.
and he basically just made fun of the NBA, and he was like, "World champion of what? You guys only play like teams from America, like they're all city based teams," and he
Right.
got cooked like for that comment, right, by everyone,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like this. If someone was like, "COD, like Optic, world champion of what?" Because you
Yeah.
didn't play the World Cup. FaZe
Right.
played
Right.
the
Right.
World Cup.
Right. Right.
I wonder if anyone's going to make that comment. But either way, that just shows like both of these teams they're so good, so
Yeah.
good, and this definitely counts as an event, like an
Oh
accolade.
yeah, no doubt.
The people that say that, oh no, this isn't, like, you guys are cooked.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I mean, I wouldn't put this on par with COD Champs. I still think COD Champs is higher than that.
Mhm.
But I think it comes pretty damn close. Like,
Yeah,
it's right up there for me. It's almost like it's kind of like a little bit less than like a lateral move.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's
like, you get to say that like, you won the esports World Cup. It's like, dude,
yeah,
that's pretty sick.
yeah, champions of the world,
Yeah.
and uh, for the fucking like people too hating on Optic, because again, we just like finished this up like an hour and a half ago. Uh, Shut up. Because people are like, this is why COD Champs didn't count for you guys, because it was a home event and home crowd. You guys went over here and you didn't win because you didn't have the crowd. Dude, no, people were cheering on Optic. Like that was, I swear that's all I heard. Like, let's
Yeah.
go Optic from the whole, like all the fans there. I didn't really hear that much cheering for all the other teams.
Yeah, dude, it just shows like Optics International. It doesn't matter. Like they could be playing, on Mars, and
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
going to be a few people that go out there
yeah,
cheering them on.
dude. And those people that I saw, like some tweets, people tweeted at him, like, "This is why."
They're
Dude,
losers. They're
like, come
losers.
on,
The
man.
people,
Like,
keyboard
yeah,
warriors who would never say that stuff in
yeah,
person.
exactly.
And
Like, I
yeah,
saw Kenny reply to one of them, and it's like these guys all they're world champs. I don't think yeah, they're upset about it, but you saw them, they're smiling afterwards, right? Like
yeah,
they still won COD champs, and
right.
they know FaZe just played better. That's
Yeah,
why
it's
that's what
as simple
happened.
as that.
Yeah, they just played better.
Yeah. No, it really is. It's we've said it before and we'll say it again. COD is just day to day.
Mhm.
You can obviously work on it as much as you can to make it as consistent as you can, but there's going to be those days where, FaZe today, they just looked unbelievable,
Mhm.
and then you could be the other person. Well, where was this phase all during the CDL?
Mhm.
What the hell?
Yeah,
It's like, shut up, dude.
dude.
It's just, that's
Yeah.
the way it goes. That's
There are
the way
people
it goes.
there are people
Toronto
like
was
that.
better than them that day. Toronto was not at this event. They were
Mhm.
worse.
Yeah. And if you're gonna count, you don't count out any of those teams.
Yeah, never.
You never do. Never do.
Yeah, they're
Because
they're all proven champs.
exactly. So
Yeah. So I leave it at that with the EWC. So let
mm,
us know because we'll have the question about it, saying what you think about it, if you thought it was good or bad, or if you
mm,
watched the whole thing. I know we watched pretty much as we could.
mhm,
If didn't watch it live, going to go back and watch some of the VOD for it because I got to
mhm,
go watch that. Then there's a couple of games, not from today, but from yesterday. I have to watch one of the
mhm.
games to catch up on it.
Oh, and one thing I actually did want to add was so I did mention the format of this. I hope the CDL takes this into consideration, the 16 teams and like pool play, which is
Hmm.
what we had in Black Ops 4 and before the CDL era.
Yeah,
But one thing I didn't mention was a lot of people that started watching during CDL, they don't know what pool play is. Um, what's cool about it is that if you did watch EWC, there's constant COD all the time. Like it's not like you finish one match and you wait. Like there are other pool play games happening at the same exact time as like the main stage match, right? So it's like in the NFL at 1 o'clock, there's like 6 games that are playing. And back in the day, I used to just pull up all 4 VODs like of
right,
COD and just have them all in the background playing. Like you watch the main stage one, and then usually the beta stream and the Charlie stream are they have commentators, and then usually the Delta stream is just like no one's commentating. It's just the players, going at it. But
right.
I think that's awesome because that's what, like you said, you want to wake up COD all day, you know,
Yeah,
and then they qualify for the bracket, and then it should be double limb once you get into the bracket, but because then it would be COD all day again. Uh, but once you make it to bracket, like okay, these are the best teams out of the pool. They're gonna duke it out, and then for the most part, there'll be really good games, and you're not waiting all the time, right?
yeah,
Because with the CDL, feel like you are waiting for the next match, or like we said, damn, we only get 3 games today or 4 games, and they're like mid games, and
right.
then it's just done.
Yeah, that's something that they could definitely take from it because it was so nice to be having, two different streams pulled up, and have two different games going on at the same time and just kind of switching between them. It was so much COD,
Yeah.
and to your point before, that it used to be this way, and it was so nice
Mhm.
that you were never without Call of Duty. So now in the
Mhm.
CDL, it's not that way, unfortunately. And I think, for the most part, I have to see what a lot of the players think about it, but I'm sure they like this format way more.
Mhm.
Um,
Oh
and
yeah.
as a viewer, I mean, same thing. I preferred this so much more. It was just fun to have more COD to watch, and then you get to the main bracket, and then that's where it like really goes down.
Yeah, because you get those in back in the day, those insane loser bracket runs.
Right.
Because you lose right off the start, and then you're literally playing all day, the entire day, just to make it to Sunday.
Right.
And like 100 Thieves did that back in BO4.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just playing game after game after game. And I'm sure all the players would rather have more reps and more games than one match that could cost them everything, right?
Right.
So, and for the viewer too, like you and I, if like meeting up in person and just hanging out and just grabbing like lunch and dinner, just COD all day. That's
right.
It's like football,
Yeah.
Your whole day is just consumed with that.
Yeah.
So that's that. I hope the CDL realizes that, and it's like, all right, let's bring in 4 of the amateur teams, the top 4 AM teams, and every single like split or major split, the top 4 AM teams can shift.
Yeah.
Like if they shift, they shift, but they should be entered into the major too, and then do this whole like format and then double eliminate everything. Because I think everybody would like the CDL a lot more and enjoy it more if that happened.
Absolutely. I think they would. And my whole thing that I know you agree with, because this you can't not, is in order to really pull that off, they need more teams too. For that to for them to have enough games that are going on all the time, it would help so much if they're going to have a couple extra teams in there.
Yeah, exactly.
So I do hope that the CDL takes notes from this, from that aspect, and then again from some of the stuff regarding production, or like just from the stage and whatnot. I think there were some interesting things that they did, and I liked some of them. Obviously, some parts too, like you'd said, with the whole idea of playing on an online server. Absolutely, it's like not ideal. But yeah, there were some good things from it. That I think the CDL could definitely draw from to make the experience better for everybody during Black Ops 6, because the game's going to be so fucking good that I need I want the CDL to be like insane. I'm like, dude, I want give me top tier. Like I want COD. I want to see Black Ops 6 all the time. I don't want to just be waking up on a Friday and I've got 2 measly games that I'm not excited about.
This will be the best Call of Duty in the last like 5 years. And then on top of that, if the golden number is 16, if they can hit 16 teams in the CDL, and don't even bring like, I know they dropped the fee, just bring in the top 4 amateur teams, like add them in, rotate them out, have the challenger scene have a reason to fight for those top 4 spots to make it to that major.
Absolutely. That'd be a really good idea.
They would definitely fight for that. So hit 16, please, CDL, if you're listening to this. Hit 16 teams. You need to capitalize on Black Ops 6, because this game is going to be fantastic.
And especially too, because no one's going to be playing MW2 multiplayer, bro.
Exactly.
That shit got shut down.
Yep.
Remastered.
H2 production.
Yeah, bro. I watched when I was doing the when I was getting the clips for this week's episode. I saw when I got to that part that you were saying that you're like, yeah, it's really nice, but I think Activision's going to shut it down. And I was just watching. I'm like, that's exactly what happened. This blew the fuck up. I want to say I was surprised. I think I was a little bit, just because it was so close to the release date of this coming out. I think it was just within a couple of days, if I'm not mistaken. It was like going to come out, I think on the 21st. And this was, I want to say this came out like on the 15th. Actually, I got the tweet from a H2 multiplayer mod. They tweeted it out on August 15th, and it was set to release on the 21st. So just a couple of days beforehand, Twitter was going crazy. FaZe Clan was like, man, we're going to be bringing back montages. And then Activision did, unfortunately, what Activision does best at times, and they had to just ruin everybody's fun. They said fun time's over.
Yeah.
And they shut them down.
Those sales on Steam were significantly higher than the current game sales.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. They don't like that.
dude, that's when Activision just saw that. It was like, nope, we're
Yeah.
pulling. But
now they can get refunded.
Yeah. Well,
so it's like now you're losing all this money. Like, bro, that was free money.
Yeah. No, dude, literally, I don't understand it. And if you go and like look at all these tweets and whatnot, right? Like H2, they're only doing this because they love COD. Like clearly they're not paid by Activision. Like
no,
they just want to modernize MW2 and, you know, bring back some nostalgia for all the old heads in COD, and they're just ruining the fun out of it.
Yeah, they
would have made the money, right? Like it is like I don't think H2 would have. I don't think they're selling anything, right? Like did you have to buy the mod, or did you just have to buy the game?
Free.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't understand. Like it's free money and promotion for Activision.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand, because I remember, I think it was Hex who said it, if I remember correctly. I can't, I kind of paraphrase him, but it was that he would totally understand, and I would as well, if they were making this mod and maybe you had to go in, if you did have to potentially pay for it. I don't know if that's totally against, you know, like you're violating guidelines, but I know for a fact you'd be violating guidelines if they are putting out new content in the game that you have to pay for. You know, if they're like, oh, we're doing custom weapon skins and custom, you know, character skins, and you have to pay 50 cents for it, that would be like absolutely red flag. But from my knowledge, they weren't doing anything like that at all. All they were doing was just making the quality of life of a game that everybody touts, and rightfully so. They wanted them to play it, and Activision pretty much said fuck you and shut them down. And it was a real blow to the community and a lot of the people who were excited for that game. I know you'd pointed it out. Banks went and tweeted out to him being like, please, Activision, like reverse this, let them put this mod out. This is only going to do good for Call of Duty.
And it's free for them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't either, especially since like if H2 made any money somehow, I'd understand. Like it's not fair, but like you can't take someone else's product and just add stuff to it and then just charge money, like you said.
Right.
Like, you know, that's money that Activision could be taking. But they're not doing that. They're just doing it out of pure passion. And it's money to Activision. So and it's free promotion. So what's the point?
Yeah, it doesn't add up to me. Something I did want to say on it, like kind of like, because my last thing I was thinking about it, as I saw this clip of Nadeshot talking about, or just reacting to the news of it, and he's like, well, I don't really say like care all that much, because he's like, I don't really want to be playing an old game, you know, I want to be playing a new game and getting a new experience. Like that's what I'm looking for. I already played those games. I totally agree with him. You know, and this isn't me just riding Nadeshot. Like, go back to our last episode. We weren't going to play. Granted, we don't play PCs, but I wasn't really even like that excited for it, because, man, I already put in my 40, 50 hour or 50 days on that game. You know, I want to be playing Black Ops 6. I want to play the new one. But obviously, there were a lot of people who don't agree with me and don't agree with Nadeshot, and they were really looking to be playing that as their full-time COD. And I wonder how many people would have done that, would have just said, I don't really want to play Black Ops 6. I want to just go and play MW2, especially since it's cheaper, for one. And just leave it at that. I don't know how many people are on that side.
Yeah, and yeah, like to that point too, like they'd be releasing that mod around the same time as a beta for BO6.
A couple of days beforehand, yeah.
Yeah, so like, look, not supporting Activision on it, I get it. Like it's free money for them, but they want you on the current game. So like it makes sense why it was shut off. And yeah, we said it last episode. We're going to be playing the current game.
Always.
Yeah. Like if we had PCs, I think we'd play that maybe for a weekend. and then it
Right.
probably would be over after that. Because again, with MW3, this game, I think it just shows nostalgia really can only take you so far,
Yeah.
and we want to play new games and adapt to the suckiness of some of the games, right? Like that's how it is.
Yeah.
I don't want to be putting in more hours in the game that we've done our time on it. It was a great time, but every now and then I'd like to go back and just play it. But there's no shot that would be my main game all year.
No, me either. I mean, again, it's like one of those little trips down memory lane. It's one that you like to do and you play it. Like I've said that before, man. There was this game that came out on the PlayStation Store, Daxter, bro. That was a PSP game. I played it back in the day on that, and I couldn't believe it was on there. I beat that game on PS5, platinumed it. I'm done. Like I'm not gonna be grinding that game over and over again just because I'm like, oh, dude, it's such a good game. It's so nostalgic. It's like, man, I got my fix, and I'm all set for like months and months. I feel like MW2 would be the same thing. I'd play it for like a couple days, and I'm like, all right, I'm all set. Like, let's go play Black Ops 6.
Yeah. Like I do wonder how many people fall on that side of like, I'm only playing this game because I think it's because we're competitive. We watch the CDL. If I was watching the CDL and I'm not playing the COD that they're playing, I just feel like I'm not validated.
Right.
My
Yeah.
opinion just doesn't matter if I don't play the game.
Right.
Not saying it like matters heavily, but it's just like I play the game a lot, so I can talk about it. But if you're playing like Vanguard all year and the current game's MW3, you can't say anything about this game. Like,
yeah, no, you can't.
Yeah.
I mean, bro, we would have been fucked if we were doing this podcast back during the MW 2019 year.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can comment on that game slightly, but that was like going against what you said. That was the one time I was so over that game that we just went and played BO4. I wasn't like totally over, but you were just like, dude, Black Ops 4 is such a better COD. Like, you need to experience it. It's like, I can't. I'm not validated. I agree. You have to be playing the game consistently and put in enough time to talk about it.
Yeah. And we started the pod on the best COD in recent years. So a Treyarch game. And now we're going to go into a new era of the COD Casuals on another Treyarch game that's going to be the best COD since BO4.
Yeah.
It's gonna
no question.
Yeah, no question. It's gonna be so good.
Yeah. And again, that beta, like we said, just closing out this episode. If you guys are gonna be playing it, Black Ops 6 open beta is on August 30th. So we will be there. We're gonna be playing it for sure. What day is that anyway? The 30th.
I want to say it's a Thursday or a Friday.
Oh, bro. Right? Guess who doesn't have work that day? Doesn't have school. Dude, I'm going to get... Yeah, it's Friday.
Friday?
Though. Yeah. I work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm going to tell the kids at school, be like, so, we're going to be grinding that Black Ops 6 beta.
Thursday? Oh,
yeah.
Why don't you have school? Oh, is it Labor Day?
Yeah. We have that Friday off, and then we have the Monday off, too.
Yeah.
No, so we go in for 3 days, and then we're back on vacation.
Yeah. Man, that's...
But yeah, I'll be asking them. I'll be like the kids who I know who grind. I'm gonna be like, "What you thinking? You gonna play it?"
Yeah.
They'll be like, "Oh yeah, for sure." I'll be like, "All right,
yeah,
I'll see you out there."
Yeah.
Twisting them, breaking ankles.
I can't wait. I can't wait for this game. So like when this episode comes out, it comes out that week. Like
this episode's going to be coming out. You guys are listening to this on the 26th. If you're listening, the day comes out. So yeah, it's just going to be 4 days away.
Yeah.
And, we'll be talking about it, of course, that next week. That's going to be the whole thing.
Yeah.
We'll try to keep it under 4 hours.
Yeah. And we'll do, we're going to be tweeting about it. Probably like, generic stuff too about it. But if you want to talk more about it, like more in depth, go follow the COD Casuals community on
Absolutely,
X.
yeah.
It's right on our profile, and just go join it because right now we don't have anything in it. It's we just created it quickly, but we're definitely going to be talking about like BO6 in that. And just I want to hear what other people think about the game, and what they think about the CDL, things like that. Like, how's it going to change it? I'm excited for this game. I'm really excited for this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait for it. It's gonna be a banger. So, I mean, a couple of things like closing out. Like, again, well, first off, everybody, thank you for listening to this episode. Like, hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you watched the EWC. And again, congrats to Atlanta FaZe, not FaZe Clan. They went as Atlanta FaZe. 2 different entities apparently. And then again, let us know too. Like, question that we'll have below is talking about, were you planning on playing the Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer remastered or not, or were you just going to totally skip out on it? And then if you're listening to this and you're not playing the beta, I don't know what you're doing. Go pre-order that shit because it's going to be a really, really good time.
The 30th is open though, right? Like anyone.
Oh yeah, you're right. No, you're right. My bad.
We get
pre-order that shit anyway.
Yeah. No, pre-order it because then you can play it twice.
Yeah, I usually wouldn't tell people to go pre-order a game, but this is one that's worth pre-ordering. Yeah, this is like, MW2 is like, but anything from Treyarch, man, that's going to be good quality. So it's definitely worth the $70. And yeah, man, I mean, you have anything else you want to say before we wrap it up?
No, I think we're good. We covered everything.
Yeah. So again, everybody, thank you for listening to episode 184 of the COD Casuals podcast. Again, like Justin said, be sure to go to our Twitter or X and go and join the community post because we're going to be in there all the time during the beta, just asking you guys questions, giving our own opinions on stuff and what we think, what we like, potentially what we dislike. And we'd like to hear from you guys as well. So be sure to join the community. And if you're not already there, be sure to give us a follow since we're talking there all the time, as well as going to anchor.fm/COD Casuals if you want to listen to us on all streaming platforms. And then, of course, going to our Instagram and TikTok. If you don't want to watch the whole episode, you can go there and watch the shorts. And then, of course, YouTube. 5 stars. Give us the like, comment, subscribe. They don't even do the 5 stars there. They do the like system now. Didn't they used to do that on YouTube?
Dude, that was like, I was gonna yeah, bro, 5 star. That like when YouTube first launched, they did a star rating.
There's people who listening who think I'm just tweaking, and you're like, dude, that was like over a decade ago.
5-star rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
There you go.
All that.
But
bump us up.
Exactly. Appreciate it. We want to be up there in the top for a COD podcast. And yeah, I think that does it, man.
Yeah.
So again, everybody, thank you for listening to episode 184 of the COD Casuals podcast. We're your host, Mike.
I'm Justin.
And we'll see you guys next week. Take it easy, everybody.
See ya.